Hello everyone. Now this is podcast name Pretty Immunity, Rock Sugar Column, and welcome to the audiences across Asia. Hello everyone. Oops. Hello everyone. Again, this is podcast name Pretty Immunity, Rock Sugar Column, and welcome to the audiences listening across Asia, Australia, Vancouver. So it is good morning in Singapore, and Malaysia is selamat pagi, Taiwan 早上好, Hong Kong 早安, Japan ohayo gozaimasu, good afternoon Australia, and good evening in Vancouver. Today is a special episode, and we shall reveal the surprise soon later. Pretty Immunity podcast has Chinese and English episodes and is searchable on popular podcast platforms such as Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Overcast, Pocket Casts, Castbox, Stitcher, and Radio Republic. So Pretty Immunity is also on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Look out for the audio video link for today's show. And please remember to subscribe and follow. I'm Annie, the host. What's your takeaway from Pretty Immunity podcast will be inspiring, motivating stories, also topics on mindfulness, personal growth and development, self-love from my guests, from books and online articles I will share, which I hope help some of you to sail through the sea of life more smoothly, get more sunny days, okay? And because we are in a unique era, and it gets complicated, and it is challenging in our lives in many ways. But the good news is more countries are opening their borders. So we are going to talk about traveling experiences, destinations, cultures, and many more. And yes, the surprise, drum roll. Okay, I have a special guest joining me today. I'm very honored to have him here. And here's a clue of who he is. Now, his time is as a partner, a father, coach, facilitator, and retreat leader. So he is the author of the recently published book, The Art of Conscious Communications for Thoughtful Men. And he can be seen delivering his TEDx talks on YouTube. So he is Jan Fuller. Let me put him on. Okay. Yes. Hello, Jan.
Hello, Annie. Hi, Annie. How are you?
Okay. Say hi to our audiences too. Greetings from Australia. Okay. Which
Yes,
part of
hello.
Australia are you in now?
I live on the south coast of Australia, about 1.5 hours away from Melbourne, the city of Melbourne. So, hello to
Yes.
everybody who's watching the podcast from Australia.
And congratulations to your recent published book. So, what made you want to write a book?
I want to help people. That's my big drive. My mission is, once you have your survival needs are okay. So once you have shelter and food and water, and I'm a father, I have children. So once my children's needs are taken care of, then you think, what is the meaning of my life now beyond survival? Why am I here? And I really believe I'm here to do what I can to help people have an easier life so they can experience more happiness, more flow, more success in their lives. So this is why I do the work that I do, and this is why I wrote the book.
Amazing. So, audiences, please stay tuned with me and Jam. So, we'll share a bit more about the conscious communications, not only for men. Okay? Right. Now, back to we are curious. Can you share how do you go from the barefoot packer to corporate leader?
Yeah, it's been quite a colorful journey for me, Annie. When I finished school, when I finished high school, I just
Mm,
wanted to travel the world. I was very curious to go to many places. And so through my 20s and into my early 30s, I was traveling to foreign countries and working everywhere I could to earn money to travel. So everything from I lived in Taiwan for 1.5 years teaching a kindergarten in Taiwan. Ni hao, Taiwan,
Ni
and
hao.
yeah, and then also I've lived in many countries working as a tattooist and a fire dancer and a motorcycle courier and a volunteer and a laborer working on building sites, working as a cleaner, working as a travel consultant, working anything, many jobs all around the world. And so then when I was in my late 20s, I had been living in London and saving money to go and spend a year in India. And when I got to
Wow.
India, I really wanted to experience the culture. I wanted to assimilate into the culture there. I wanted to be accepted by the culture. I didn't want to be a tourist. I wanted to understand what it was like to be a part of the fabric of India. And so I wore very simple clothes. They call it a lungi. The men wear a lungi. It's a piece of material they wrap around like a skirt, and very simple. I had just a simple t-shirt, a simple lungi, and then I chose to be barefoot, no shoes, because I wanted to um, live a very simple life. And I lived outdoors a lot, and I would go to the local market and buy vegetables from the market and cook my dinner on a fire, uh, and and I would sleep sometimes in the places where pilgrims would go in this very simple in the it's called dharamsala in India. And so yes, I made it to the point where the beggars didn't beg from me anymore, and the hawkers on the street didn't come up to me anymore. I really disappeared into the fabric of India, which was a beautiful experience. So that was my time of being a barefoot backpacker. And then when my wife and I had our first child, I realized I need to get serious about a job. I need to have a
Yes.
I need to
Okay.
have a career, yeah, because now I have children and I have to feed these children and support them and provide for them to go to school and everything. So I got a job with a travel company, and I worked
Mm,
as a travel consultant, and then I worked as a leader, and I worked my way up to being a senior leader. And so
wow.
when I was as a senior leader, I started to work in this corporate world in a suit and tie. And so I went from barefoot backpacker to senior corporate leader, wearing a tie and a shirt and earning really good money, but and learning a lot about leadership. I learned a lot about leadership, and then I left that company to start my own coaching business 9 years ago.
Wow. Okay. So
Mm.
what makes you, oh, okay, can I say that because of your traveling experiences, that you think that you want to become a corporate leader to do coaching?
Yeah, I just became a corporate leader because, I was working in a company and I got promoted and promoted and promoted.
Oh,
That just happened,
wow.
as it happens.
Okay.
But in terms of the coaching and what I do and how I help leaders now is because of my experience living in so many different cultures. I really learned how to communicate and connect with people who are very different to me,
Mm,
where sometimes language is a barrier, or
mm,
sometimes our religion might be, we have very different religious ideas, or we have very different cultural ideas. But I learned how to connect with people because, Annie, really, we have a lot in common. You know, I know that you have some of the very same feelings that I do. When you have love for the people that you care about, and that you experience sadness and grief if someone dies, and that you need food and water, and you need
mm,
shelter, the same as me,
mm,
and that you need connection with people you're close to. That's the same as me. So we have a lot in common. And I think it's important for us to start by appreciating what we have in common, and then we can explore our differences. So when people in an organization are not seeing eye to eye, when people in an organization are like this, when they can then sit together and say, hey, what do we have in common? We have the same vision. We have the same mission for our organization. Let's talk about what we have in common, and then we can explore how to collaborate together. So all of this time traveling around the world and living in these different places taught me to appreciate difference.
Right. That's interesting. Because from my experience, nothing against men, but usually they are slower. The awareness and consciousness comes later. What's your view?
Yeah, and so we can speak generally, right? So there's always exceptions to the rule, but if we speak in general terms, then women are more open to connection. Women are more open to personal development. Women are more open to this more emotional and vulnerable space of learning and expanding, whereas men are very focused on, I need to get the result. I must make this money and do this job. You know, I don't have time to read a book on personal development, or I don't have time to go to a workshop, or I don't have time to do this. I must just get the job done, right? And this is being very general, you know. But I think also men, it's different in different cultures. It's slightly different, but certainly here in Australia, men are taught when they're little boys, you must be strong. You cannot be weak. You cannot show your emotions. There's no time to communicate about those things. You must just be strong and tough. That's what we teach our boys. And so then you end up with men who don't know how to express their emotions, or men who don't feel that they can be vulnerable or show any weakness, you know. And so, yeah, it becomes like this, yeah.
I see. So back to the barefoot packer, why did you decide on this way of traveling, and why India? Because this is the last place on earth. I'm sorry. Nothing against India, but because as a female, I don't think I'll be selecting India.
Yeah, sure.
Share with us.
Yeah, sure. I think the reason at first I didn't select India. I wanted to go to Nepal. And the reason I wanted to go to Nepal is because I wanted to see Mount Everest. You know,
Yes.
the tallest mountain in the world. And so I wanted to go to Nepal. And when I went to Nepal, I fell in love with the people and the culture. They're so friendly and so humble, you know, and everybody, namaste, namaste,
Yes.
everybody,
Namaste.
so gentle and so hospitable. They welcome you in to their homes and to their lives. So I fell in love with Nepal. And then I was so close to India, I thought I'll go and have a look at India. And I went down to look in India, and it's a bit different. It's not as gentle. It's there's a bit more chaos. But what I loved about India is that it is normal and natural to have a sense of spirituality, to have a sense of reverence, a sense of respect to the greater system. Yeah. So in my country, in Australia, you're either religious. So if you follow a religion, Christianity or any religion, but in Australia mainly Christianity, but you're either religious or atheist, as in you don't believe in anything. And so there's not really a space for spirituality. And for me, spirituality is this sense that we're all connected. We're all part of a bigger system, you know, and that there's mystery. We don't understand how everything works, but there is some feeling we have that there is more. Yeah. And in India, that's normal. You know, it's okay to be spiritual in India. And so for me, I was looking for, this is when I was younger, in my 20s, I was looking for how can I express my spirituality? You know, how can I, who am I, and how can my identity fit into the world with a sense of there being more? You know, so that's why I was drawn to India. And it's not really the cities. The cities are crazy. So many people, so much pollution, busy, busy, busy. And so it's not really the cities in India that I find really magical. It's when you go outside the city into the
Mm,
villages and the countryside, down to the
mm,
ocean or up into the mountains, into the nature. That's where I find there's a very beautiful, peaceful um, existence in India. It's quite
mm.
special. It's hard to explain, Annie. Some people go to
Mm.
India and you either love it or hate it. Some people love
Yes,
India, some people hate India. It's dirty, smelly, there's,
yes,
stinky. Like some people really don't like India,
yes.
so it's hard to say, some people.
So I'm imagining now that did you actually hop onto a bus or any vehicles to take your ride from one point to another?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh,
Yeah. Bus and
but how
train.
do you communicate?
Lots of sign language. I'm hungry.
Okay.
Money.
Oh,
I don't know, like this, I don't know. You know,
okay.
it's the same when I was living in Taiwan, there was not much English. This was also
Right.
I was living in Taiwan in the year 2000, and there
Yeah.
was not much English. So there was lots of sign language and lots of
Mm.
me saying 一点点
A
and
little bit.
little bit,
Yes.
but
Yes.
we can communicate without words sometimes as
Mm.
well.
Yeah, because okay, I'm excited to shift our sorry.
That's
I'm
okay.
excited to shift our imaginary lenses now across to Taiwan. So Taiwan is a country in East Asia, and its capital city is Taipei. So whether the trip is sampling delicacies in famous night markets or exploring colorful temples, it is described that Taiwan, a trip there, the memories will stay with you for a lifetime. So, Jem, you have lived and you work in Taiwan as a kindergarten teacher. So, can you share with us more?
Yeah, sure. I love Taiwan. It was the food is so beautiful. There's some beautiful traditional Chinese ways of life that have survived all of this time in Taiwan. There's also the very old indigenous cultures are still surviving in Taiwan. Some of the indigenous ways of eating and
Mm,
festivals are still there, which was very beautiful. And then at the same time, you have the modern USA feel. Like in Taipei, there's modern department buildings and labels and nightclubs, and so you have this beautiful um, coming together of traditional ancient ways and the new world in Taiwan. It's really quite special. And then you can go all the way south to Kending, and there's beaches and surfing, or you can go up into the mountains. It really, yeah, it really has everything, and the people were very welcoming.
mm,
The local people made us feel very welcome. We
mm,
lived in a small town outside of so you've got Taipei and then Taichung, and we lived a little
mm,
bit outside Taichung, in a
mm.
village. So yeah, it was a wonderful time.
Oh, but how do you get to work as a kindergarten teacher and for how long?
So we went there, and we went to one of the backpackers hostels, and then on the
Mm-hmm.
hostel, on the wall, on the notice board, they have notice we are looking for English teachers.
Ah,
And so
okay.
yeah, you can get work. I don't know what it's like now. This was more than 20 years ago, but
Wow.
but we
Okay.
just applied for a job as an English teacher, and we were teaching in a school where the kindergarten children were learning English. So
Mm,
I would have, I was an English teacher, but teaching the kindergarten children, all their classes, but I had a
Mm,
Taiwanese helper assistant,
mm,
and
mm.
she could speak English and Mandarin and Cantonese, so she would
Ah,
translate for me.
I see. So you do you do you go to the famous night markets to try their chicken 鸡排?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yes, we did.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay, great.
very delicious. And also something in Taiwan that I think is you must visit. If you haven't been there, you must go to the Royal Museum, the National
Mm,
Museum. Really, I think I think I can say the most amazing museum I've been to anywhere in the world. They have all of the treasures there from the Ming dynasties in China.
mm,
And
right.
they have artifacts in there that are priceless, absolutely
Wow.
priceless. So you must
Okay.
definitely go and have a look at the Royal Museum just
So
outside
it's in
Taipei.
Taipei?
Yeah,
Oh,
Taipei.
okay. The Royal Museum. Okay, take note.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, some of us may know Bali. Bali is a province of Indonesia, so it's also one of the best tropical paradises of Indonesia. It has rich culture and is more than a tourist place. So Bali was the first country you said you visited as an adult, and it was on your way to London. And you say Bali leaves a good impression. So can you share with us how was your experience traveling to about Bali?
Yeah. I love Bali. I really do. And I've been back to Bali many, many, many times. And so now in the last 9 years, I've been running a retreat in Bali, in a beautiful place in the north of Bali. I just love it. Bali's the only Hindu, Buddhist, um, it's mainly Buddhist province in an Islamic nation. So Indonesia is mainly Islamic, but then in Bali you have Hinduism and Buddhism. It's very beautiful, and the people again are so friendly, and they make you feel welcome. They rely a lot on tourism, and because they're so close to Australia, a lot of their tourism is Australian people. So they're very grateful that we can go there. The last 2 years in travel restrictions with the pandemic have been very hard for Bali because a lot of their economy has stopped. A lot of the tourists can't be there, so it's been very hard for them. But it's a beautiful country, beautiful beaches, really really yummy food, and also now this beautiful mix of the West and the East. So you can still get very traditional Balinese food, which is delicious. And then you also have these Western um, ideas for restaurants that are coming in and mixing the traditional with the new in very, very good ways.
So I wonder. So do you like this is your first trip? So usually to these places, any preparations you will do before your trips?
Now I do a lot more preparation. I'm 50, and when I
Ah, you
travel
don't look
now,
like
I don't look 50. There you go.
you
I'm
don't look
50.
like.
Yeah, and so now when I'm planning a trip for me and my partner, I like to do preparation because I just want it to be easy, everything organized, and and usually now when we go on holidays, we only have a small time because we're working and we have children. So if we go on holiday, we maybe only have 2 or 3 weeks. So it's more efficient if everything is organized and planned very well. But when I was younger, I no preparation, just buy a ticket and a land and go, whoa, what's going on? And just try and figure it out.
Okay. So did okay, this is a bit about personal. So do you meet your partners on trip during your trip?
My current partner, I met her here in Australia. We got
Oh, okay.
introduced, yeah, through friends, and we've been together for 6 years, and it's a beautiful love. We love each other so beautifully, and she's very good to me, and I'm very good to her. And so and now we work together a little bit. So we run our retreats together. She comes to India with me, and run a retreat in the Himalaya, in the mountains,
Mm.
and to Bali. She comes to Bali with me and we run a retreat there. And we also run relationship retreats for couples here in Australia. So it's very
Wow.
nice that we can work together as well.
Okay, talking about the okay, maybe let's has a coffee break from the travel experiences. So we would love to hear about the book and your, like just now, the retreats that you are into. So back to a very basic questions is like, why and what makes you want to write about conscious communication?
I believe it's so important. It's really so important. Without communication, then nothing can happen. You know, you think about every part of our life. If we can't have good communication, then our marriages are not working. If we can't have good communication, then our business is not working. If we can't have good communication, then our community is not working. If we can't have good communication, then we can't solve problems. You know, you can't have an idea and then turn that idea into reality without communication. You know, Annie, you had this amazing idea to have this podcast. Yeah. But
Thank
if
you.
you couldn't communicate, then you wouldn't have been able to take it from an idea into reality. And now it's reality. Now you have a podcast. Yeah. Because you can
Yes.
communicate. Yeah.
Okay.
So I think it's very important, communication. And sometimes we forget. So conscious communication is being more aware of the communication. And sometimes we forget the other person. We're just thinking about what we want or what we want to say or what our thinking is or what our idea is. And we forget to listen. What is the other person trying to say? How are they feeling? You know, what are they trying to communicate with me? How can I seek to understand them more? You know, I think if we are more aware of each other, then we can seek to understand, and then we can really evolve our thinking together. Does that make
I
sense?
see. Yes, definitely. But I'm curious because two-person talking, and we are both at the point that we all wanted to put our message across. That is what the very first point you said. We want to say what we want to say.
Yeah.
So, and there's always miscommunications because you haven't finished the sentence. The other party just grab whatever phrases or words that use and misunderstand the meaning of what you want to
Yeah.
say.
Yeah.
So in such situation, how do you advise me as the person? Do I keep quiet? I step back?
Yeah,
What's your advice?
I think to relax and take a breath, listen first. First listen. Put your idea to the side a little bit. Just wait, just 1 second. I will come back to my idea, but first I want to seek to understand you. Let me try and understand you. And then when you've finished speaking, before I say my idea, I'm going to say to you, Annie, I want to make sure that I'm understanding you properly. What I heard you say was, and then I will repeat back to you what you've said to me. And I'll ask you, am I hearing you correctly? Give you the opportunity to say, yes, Jem, you understand. And I say, good. And then I say, would you like to hear my point of view? Would you like to hear my idea? And if you say to
So
me, no, I don't want to hear your
no,
idea,
yes.
then I say, okay. Okay.
So is this
If you
just
say
a
to me, yes, I
one-way
want to hear,
communication?
no, because if you say to me that you want to hear my idea, then I will try and communicate my idea with you. And after I've tried to communicate with you, I might say to you, Annie, just so that I know that I've communicated well, can you please tell me what you heard? What do you think I'm trying to say? And I will hear back from you. If you misunderstood me, If you took my words and heard them in a different way, then I might say to you, I'm sorry, I didn't communicate very well. Let me try another way. And then I will try and communicate in a different way so that you can understand me. Because people hear things differently. We have different ways of receiving information. We have different ways of processing information. So if I've tried to communicate with you in a way that didn't work, I'll try another way. You know?
So that's the point of the conscious that we need to, that means I have to switch on my conscious mode every time when I do the communication.
We need to teach ourselves. We need to practice. It's a practice. You know, we're not very good at it. We practice every time. We get a little bit better, a little bit better. Because when we're not conscious, we are just in our ego, in our identity. And this is my way and it must be my way. But when we can relax a little bit and become conscious of the greater good, what is for the greater good, not just what is good for me, what is good for us, you know, then I'm listening. And when I'm seeking to understand you, Annie, it doesn't mean I'll always agree with you. It doesn't mean I always have to say, yes, okay, I agree with you. I can seek to understand you, and then I can still have my different point of view. That's okay. But before I share my different idea, I want to really try and understand, why are you communicating with me? Are you trying to give me directions how to get to a place? Are you trying to give me instructions how to operate a system? Or are you trying to express how you feel? You know, maybe when someone is communicating with us, it's not the words that are important, it's their emotion that they're trying to express.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's always the case. For
You know.
female,
Yeah.
yes, we are always more into telling you how we feel rather than right or wrong.
Yeah, that's right. And so for quite often for a female, she will be saying the words, and the male takes those words literally. So the female might be very upset in this moment because her husband wouldn't do this thing for her, and she says, "You never do anything for me." Right? The husband takes that literally. He thinks, I never do anything for you. And then he thinks, you take me for granted. You don't appreciate all the things I do. I do things for you all the time. So he gets upset and she's upset. But what he didn't understand was, she didn't mean literally, you never do anything for me. What she meant was, in this moment, I feel upset and I'm feeling frustrated and angry because you won't do that thing for me. She's expressing how she's feeling. So if I'm more conscious in this communication, then I will listen to her and I will think, what is she trying to say now? She's expressing that she's upset in this moment, not through our whole life, just now. She's just upset now. So I will listen to her and try and understand. And I will say, I hear you. I understand you're upset right now. And I apologize for that. What can we do? What can I do to help this moment? Right? You know?
Right,
Or sometimes somebody is sitting next to you and they're not saying any words, but there's communication. Maybe they put their head on your shoulder like this. And what they're communicating is, I need you, I love you, and I want you to hold me. So you just put your arm around them and you hold them like this. This is communication. This is me saying to you, I'm here. I love you. It's okay.
Oh,
You know?
great. How, listening to all this from Jam, how we wish that our partner would be someone like you.
Get them to read
Because
the
I
book.
realized, okay, yes, get them to read the book. And the book
Yes.
name is The Art of Conscious Communications for Thoughtful Men.
Yes, and
But
it's
I
for
think it's
women
for
as
all.
well. So women are loving this book because it's helping them also with communication, and it's helping them understand their, if they have a male partner, it's helping them understand their men. But
Yes.
this book is written for men because men can understand. In this book, I help men understand women better so they can be a better man for their woman.
Yes, better man. Because I realized one more point that men, when because for female is we are here to express our emotions, our feelings. So we want them to know how we feel. And sometimes they are very eager into, oh, you're telling me this, so I'm going to give you a solution.
Yeah, yes, yes. They want to fix it. They want to just fix
Yes.
everything. And sometimes the woman is like, stop trying to fix it or fix me. I don't want to be fixed. I just want to express how I feel. You know?
Yes.
Yeah. So the message to the men, if there's any men listening, when your wife is expressing how she feels, just listen. Don't try and fix it. Just listen, breathe, let her express her emotions. Make a cup of tea. Sit with her and drink a cup of tea. You know,
Yes. Right.
not a beer.
Oh, some people will really take beer. I think beer is for chill out and more relaxed.
Yeah. Or when you finish work on a Friday night.
Okay, that's good. So how long you get your preparations? You do your preparations for the book as
Oh,
an author.
this
Yeah.
book came very easily. I started writing this book in November 2020, and then by November 2021, it was published, printed, and distributed. So
Oh,
1 year from the first time I started writing to when it was launched was 1 year.
wow, interesting. So right now we may want to know a bit more about the place, Melbourne, where you are staying. So how's the situations about the COVID-19? Is it more like into the endemic situation?
Yeah, yes, it is. Yeah. So finally, we are coming out of restrictions. Melbourne was one of the longest lockdowns in the world. So they were in
Okay.
lockdown from March 2020 until just recently, the other day. So there's a lot of lockdowns in Melbourne, and so it's great to be now able to move around and go to restaurants and go to the movies and go to our friends' houses and to, you know, to gather as people again is now becoming easier.
Okay. So, but you still need to wear mask, right? Indoor
Now
or outdoor.
only public transport now only. And
Okay.
also, if you are working, so if you're working in hospitality, if you're working in a restaurant, I think they're wearing a mask. But if you are a guest, if you are the customer, then you don't need to wear a mask anymore.
Oh, that's interesting. So, because I'm right now here in Malaysia, so I realize a huge change is when it's about 7 or 7:30, the streets, the shops close, the streets is like midnight. So how about your end? Because I think people after after the dinner time they will just shut themselves up here in Malaysia. So how
Yeah.
about in Melbourne? Is it also early
I'm not
close?
sure. I live 1.5 hours drive away. So I live in a small town,
Oh,
in a village. And so it's quiet, more quiet here. But I think in the city, I think everything is open now because everybody was so desperate to go out and to
ah,
socialize. So I think it's open again now, and it will start to come busy again.
wow. Okay. So what's your next traveling plan?
Yeah, I have travel plans again. Woohoo! I'm so
Yes.
excited. So, in 2 weeks, I'm taking my teenage boys, my children, but they're young men.
How many of
My
them?
so I have two boys, and my partner has a girl and a boy. So altogether
Okay.
four children. But
Wow.
the
Wow.
oldest one, he turned 18 yesterday, so he's now a young man. And then we have a 16-year-old, and we have a 15-year-old, and a
Wow.
13-year-old.
Okay.
So we are taking the children to Queensland,
Oh.
to the Gold Coast,
Yes.
to Surfers Paradise, where there's lots of surfing and beaches and this. So that's in a couple of weeks. Then in June, I'm taking my partner to a place in Australia called Kakadu.
Kakadu.
Kakadu. It's near the city of Darwin, and it is beautiful, beautiful, ancient Aboriginal land, and stunning nature, really beautiful nature, and crocodiles,
Okay.
and
Okay.
wildlife and jungles,
Mm.
and it's pretty amazing. So we're going there in June, because in the winter up there it's still hot, but it's dry. So
Oh.
it's called the dry season. They have a dry season and a wet season. It's always hot, but
Okay.
6 months of the year no rain, and then 6 months of the year lots of rain.
Oh.
So that's in June, and then in September we are going to London, and then to Spain, and then to Morocco.
Wow. That means we can have more traveling experiences from you sharing.
Yes.
Okay. Well, today we have very good pieces of message from our special guest today, Jam. And thank you so much. And we talk about the theory, like the conscious communications, and also the concept. So it does, for my audiences, it does require actions to practice. So we can reap the goodness and also generate positive result in our lives. Right? Do you agree?
Yes, that's true. Yes.
Yes, and so Jam, with your abundance of traveling experiences and your forward, your future trips, we would hope to see you again.
It would be lovely to see you again, Annie. It's very nice to have a conversation with you.
Thank you, and once again, thank you for your time and sharing. We love it. Thank you.
谢
So
谢，
have a good day, everyone. 谢谢，
再见。
再见。